Poor people should not be forced to eat unhealthy food just because they're poor. The governments and the restaurants all need to get together to make sure that there is a healthy, cheap food.
Poor people should not be made to become sick just because they are poor. Poor people should not be forced to eat bad nutrition just because they are poor. If we look at the McDonald's hamburger, the dollar hamburger, French fries and a Coke, the what we call the inexpensive food, there's no reason why that cannot be a veggie burger, a vegetable stick, and an apple juice, green tea, or some type of healthy, fresh fruit, vegetable drink. It's all a matter of volume, and if we understand where that cow comes from to make that hamburger, that cow is probably grown in Argentina, transported, processed, and it's very expensive to actually bring it there to make that dollar menu. How much less expensive and how much more profit would there be for McDonald's? How much more profits would there be for McDonald's if there was a veggie burger, something grown local, rich, high nutrition grains and vegetables made into a veggie burger? Thereby, the poor people would be able to buy this type of healthy food. If they want the hamburger or something that's high glycemic, heavy in trans fats, low in nutritional value, something that's going to be causing them disease and increasing the probability of disease, then those people should be willing to pay for that. Here in Hungary, they've started a hamburger tax just for that purpose, to be able to charge people the true value of what it takes for our society to have to deal with people eating those poor, unnutritious, fat, disease-causing foods. We've had to impose a tax.
Hungary, Denmark, and many countries around the world are imposing taxes on foods that make people sick and unhealthy.
Because, I used to be a smoker, and I quit smoking for health reasons, but if I lived in the United States, I probably would have quit because it was just too damn expensive to buy cigarettes. So, we have governments all the time influencing behavior. Why not do it when it comes to obesity?
I'm actually all for the tax. The reality is Denmark has a 10% obesity rate. That's the perfect time to address obesity. 90% of people who lose weight do not keep it off. It is very hard to reverse obesity. The only way to reverse that trend is to prevent it. So it's the perfect timing for Denmark to make big measures to reverse the trend and get in front of any escalating obesity numbers.
We all know if we go to McDonald's every single day, that's not going to be healthy for you, okay? I mean, that's common knowledge. That's not a mystery.
I believe the government's made the mistake of demonising traditional nutrient-dense foods and fats from grass-fed animals. McDonald's doesn't provide that. It's, a lot of these are from factory-farmed animals, which have a completely different nutrient. Government have replaced natural fats and traditional foods with excess carbohydrates, toxic margarines and vegetable oils. And we actually believe that these are what are causing obesity and disease. The fat tax targeting sugar will encourage artificial sweeteners, and these actually can induce food cravings by creating an insulin response. And artificial sweeteners like aspartame are particularly toxic. This is produced from GMO bacteria, and it breaks down into formaldehyde and methanol in the gut. And we're going to see a lot more of this. But the ironic thing about the government's nutritional guidelines, one of the most ironic things, is over half of the calories proposed are from carbohydrates, and the body breaks these all down into sugars. And the only use of sugar in the diet really is energy, and we've got excess carbohydrates, and the body is putting this on the waist and the bottom, everywhere you don't want it to be, because we're just overloaded with carbohydrates through these dietary guidelines.
Now, please, people, think for a minute. Just think for a minute. Of course, if you were getting vegetables raised locally, of course, without having to transport them, locally raised vegetables, all natural ingredients, of course it would be far cheaper and far healthier, and we would be able to supply the poor people with something that they don't get sick. It would neutralize some of the expenditures that we have in healthcare. Now, why do we not have cheap, healthy snacks? Is it because big processed food does not want us to find out how good natural health food could be? Is it B, they conspire with Big Pharma to keep us sick? Is it C, big meat does not want to lose a customer? Or D, is the evil ultra-rich want to limit the population? Or is it E, all of the above? We just don't know. But something going on here is wrong.
Knowledge about nutrition was very, very little. If you're a working class family and you don't have much, you're not earning well, you don't have good health conditions, I mean, you fall into this trap of not eating healthy food because, number one, it's relatively cheap.
But you know what's expensive? Being sickly for decades. You know what's expensive? Having diabetes, type 2 diabetes for decades. That's what's really expensive. Eating broccoli, black beans, maybe some brown rice, not expensive. Drinking water instead of sweetened drinks, not expensive. It's a myth that it is so expensive to eat reasonably. What is costing us in suffering and in money is that we are bringing this health crisis onto ourselves. A full 3/4 of our $750 billion health bill is due to our lifestyle choices. And we know, as we've seen with higher taxes on tobacco, and in Denmark they've already been taxing candy, and they've eliminated or minimized trans fat. They have had a positive response. We know in the U.S., as we've elevated the taxes on tobacco, the higher the taxes go, the consumption goes down. So there is nothing wrong with taxing soda. There's nothing wrong with taxing unnecessary, ubiquitous products that, when consumed, do not promote health. We're not talking about food. We're talking about junk food, really.
Now, if that hamburger was $5 and the veggie burger $1, then poor people would not be forced into eating bad food just because they are poor. And this would increase the profit for McDonald's and the food industry from the poor foods, at the same time increasing their profit from the other foods and increasing taxes for the people who really want foods that are going to be causing different types of disease. If we look at the true cost, $5 would be what that hamburger would be. If we looked at the true cost of what cigarettes would be, a pack of cigarettes should be about 25 euros to 50 euros, depending on volume, for the damages that it does to our entire society as our society has to deal with the sickness and health problems that come from this. With this in mind, thereby the poor people would be able to get good foods, and the people who want unhealthy foods would be paying for that risk.
Yes, a junk food tax would be a good idea. There's no reason the rest of us should be paying for their health care. Poor people should not be forced to eat unhealthy food because that's all the money that they have, to go to McDonald's and buy something cheap. McDonald's must be forced to give them a healthy alternative so that people are not just being made sick. Poor, stupid, fat, sick, nearly dead. We need to stop this. We need to be able to make sure that if all you have in your pocket is a couple of bucks, that you can get a veggie burger. And the veggie burger has to be less priced, much less, because it costs less to make. Think for a minute. Just think. Of course it's going to be cheaper to make a veggie burger and grow it locally rather than to transport all the chemicals that meat and all these other trans fats have, and etc. We need to do this in order to help save our society, make people more and more healthy. This is Desiree, signing off.